Hello, everyone. So we are live again for another author live chat with fans, and today we have author Janet with us. 27th June 2021, 8 p.m. CST. We are live on International Book Promotions Facebook page, and this week's show is also going to be about parenting. And so Janet has a book, as a lot of books, I believe, on parenting, and that is why I found her books very intriguing, and I also found her to be really interesting. I wanted to talk to her a little bit more to understand about why she wrote the books and her experiences raising up kids and things like that. So, a little bit about Janet over here. So, Janet has been um, she has been called an expert on sharing the business of life, which is also known as adulting with kids of all ages before and after graduation, young adults who age out of the foster care system, and those who complete a stint in the military. So personally, she thinks that she is simply sharing information about situations we've all had to stumble through at one time or another. Shifting to the Business of Life, a survival guide for young adults, was written for her own kids and their friends who were always asking her questions about how to get things done without getting ripped off. So the book is not only dog-eared by all the kids who needed it, it has also been endorsed by members of the banking community, colleagues, um, real estate agents, members of the USMC, and also moms everywhere. So she's also an author. She's a former IT trainer, a tech writer, a skills presenter, and an inveterate advice giver. She's also a former single mom of two wildly successful non-boomerang young adults and a grandmother of three beautiful grandchildren. So her husband Tom and her are currently residing in the gorgeous state of Washington with their orange tabby cat Bullet. So without further ado, please welcome Author Janet to the show. Let's welcome Author Janet to the show.
Hi there. Thank you for
Yes,
having me.
hello Janet. Thank you, actually, thank you for accepting my invitation to be here with us for the Author Live Chat show with fans. And so, what we do on Sundays, 8 p.m. CST, the Sunday series is actually dedicated for non-fiction books. And I'm so glad that we connected on Facebook,
Yeah.
on the Facebook group, right? So I'm so happy to be talking to you about the subject that we wanted to explore a little bit more. So we are gonna explore about parenting and the books that you have written. So Janet, before that, would you like to briefly introduce about yourself to the audience who are listening right now, who will be joining us also later on? Maybe you would like to share a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, you sure captured it right there in the introduction, though. Yes, I am former single mom of two amazing kids. I just adore them. But before that, I had a career in information systems. I've been an IT trainer for, well, gosh, it seems like almost 40 years now. Because in my spare time, I'm still providing IT support or tech support actually for the seniors in our community now. I actually go out to their homes and help them. But in the meantime, I still want to help parents. I still want to help kids. I've heard so many excuses over the years, especially when I used to take my kids out, of all these parents who used to say things like, oh, well, I'm a single parent or whatever, and your kids don't have a chance and they're never going to be successful. And, you just might as well get used to failure. And
Mm,
I remember being so frustrated with that. And then these kids
mhm,
would be so misbehaving in public. And even my kids started criticizing them, which was kind of funny. It's like, oh my God, if that was my mom, she'd smack them upside the head. So I was I was basically known as the mean mom, I guess, because
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
had, I had rules and I enforced my rules. As a single parent, you don't have time to put up with. I'm trying not to swear. I was going to say you don't have time to put up
Mhm.
with bad behavior from your
Mhm.
kids.
Mhm. Mhm.
So in raising those kids, I didn't have a handbook, but I had a lot of people criticizing me and giving me a hard time. And
Mhm.
but I fought back. I started writing it down. I started writing it. This is what I see. This is how I handle it. And then the proof to me that things were working is that my kids were always very well behaved. I never had troubles with
Mhm.
them. Um, I don't know. And sometimes I just feel like I got lucky, and so it's worth sharing my experiences with my kids and
Mhm.
hopefully helping someone else also have good results. That's really what it comes down to.
Mhm.
Is I want to see people have good results, and then those kids, I would like to see them be successful and have good results as well in their lives when their parents are done and they have to take on their own responsibilities. I want to help them continue to grow. And that's what my books are all
Mhm.
about. My all my books were inspired by my kids and my experiences with my kids. So Can't Love Your Children Too Much was the first one. The Business of Life was the
Mhm.
second one, and that was probably 10 years later. And then Letters from Boot Camp was my son and all the letters he sent to me when he enlisted in the military or the Marine Corps. Um,
Mhm.
and now I'm doing another one. Actually, I was working on it today. I 365 must-have parenting tips because my son said, "Mom, I have a baby and a toddler at home. I don't have time to read all these paragraphs. I need short sentences." And I said, "Okay, honey, this one's for you." So, yeah, everything is been inspired by my kids. I'm lucky.
Mhm. Right. So, I think, like, what really intrigued me is the fact that, parenting nowadays. I mean, we see a lot of parents saying that, it's okay to let your kids misbehave a little bit. It's okay to let the kids mess the house around because, and there's also this negative connotation surrounding parents who are trying to be stern, who are trying to be, a little bit strict with their kids, So I understand that I mean, I think you probably were from the 80s, 70s, 80s, and the way parents are, doing things right now differ a lot. So what do you think? I mean, like, what do you think about what do you think about that? Because I also and another thing is that being a single mom, I understand that it's going to be really difficult, and how people perceive you, how people think that you're gonna like fail, you're not gonna make it, right? So that also adds to that the whole pressure that's surrounding you, right? So, what do you think of the differences, like the parenting style in the old days versus now?
Um, you know, I the present style. There's a mixture. I see. I see on the one hand, it's almost like one extreme to another sometimes. While I believe in being strict, and I mean, God knows my parents were strict and they beat the crap out of me all the time when I was a kid, and my brothers. So that was one extreme, and it was not good. And they didn't spend time with us,
Mhm.
and they borderline verbally and physically abusive. So what
Mhm.
most parents do, I think, is they try to get to a point where they say, "Well, my parents were horrible, my life was horrible, my childhood was horrible, so I'm going to do the opposite." What I tried to do is find a happy medium because there were some good things, the rules, the
Correct.
consistency, the discipline. And then there's the other extreme that I'm seeing sometimes where they're, what would you say, hovering a lot, making decisions, all the decisions for their kids, not allowing them to be creative or explore new things. They want to protect them from everything. And at the same time, they're protecting them from everything. They're not being creative because they're not going out and eating mud pies or, I don't know, digging with rocks or playing with bugs or anything like that. But oh, well, the bug's going to bite you. It's dangerous. And don't go in the garden because there's bees. I mean, and it's really bad. But then the kids get in the house and they're tearing the place up and there's no discipline. It's almost like, what do they say, that old expression about the inmates are running the prison? It's like the kids are making the rules and the kids are whining. And I understand the parents are tired. I mean, I've been exhausted. I've been tired with 2 kids and working full time. It wiped me out. But the parents are so exhausted that they're not arguing or disciplining or standing firm with their kids. So they give in to any of the whining and the crying and, oh, mom, please, 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 until you finally say, yes, just shut up and go away. And so I get how you can fall into that. And it's really hard to get out of it. So I don't like it. I don't like seeing it. And I especially don't like seeing that pattern where I go to somebody's house and their kids are constantly yelling and screaming and begging for things. And mom is just giving it to them, giving it to them, giving it to them. And they're feeding that frenzy, and it's never going to stop. It's almost like you keep doing the same thing and expect different behavior from your kids. It's not really going to work, So you have to be consistent. You have to be firm. It doesn't mean you have to yell and scream, and you don't have to spank anybody. I understand that. And you have to stick to your guns. A lot of people say, well, God, I'm so tired of telling them a million times or over and over again. I thought, well, I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. You have to tell them a million times until they're 18 or 21 or whatever. So I don't like seeing that parents are giving in more and more these days and letting the kids just run the whole household and determining what their meals are going to be, or they're not going to eat, or not coming home on time. Well, you know what? I don't need a curfew. So-and-so doesn't have a curfew. Well, I don't really care what so-and-so is doing. They're not living in my house. So I don't like seeing that parents are giving in to the kids all the time because the kids aren't grown up. They don't have any frame of reference to make decisions about these things. They have no experience. You're the mom. And sometimes I think parents are trying to be their friend. I don't like that either. I can't stand that. It's you can't be your child's friend and be their parent at the same time. If you want to be a friend or you need a friend, go to a bar and go dancing, go get a friend. But your kids can't be your friends because then they have no grown up. If you're just going to be their friend, they have no adult supervision or whatever. And so I think that's a horrible plan. It's horrible. And you see that now. I mean, oh God, I say you see that so much now. It's just these kids out, running around going, oh yeah, but mom, you did that. Mom, it was cool. And it's like, yeah, well, just because mom did it didn't mean it's right. What? So
yeah, I think I saw there's a reference to that, right? Like exposing too much about you. I mean, when you are a parent and you're exposing too much about your life,
yeah.
that sort of like backfire and things like that. But we have also like differing opinions saying that you have to be honest with your kids. You have to be life is all about mistakes and things like that. So where do we draw the line?
I'm sorry, say that again.
We have parents saying that we have to be honest with the kids, right?
Oh,
We have to be honest with the kids. So where do we draw the line? I mean, like not exposing too much about ourselves to the kids,
Uh,
to the extent that they refrain from listening to you,
right.
and being honest. Right? I think there should be a balance, but how do we like work around that?
When I think most kids don't ask probably until they're teenagers. Well, mom, didn't you do something stupid like that when you were a kid? So the way I used to work around it, because I did a lot of stupid things, and a lot of those things to this day, my kids still don't know. And my kids are
Mm-hmm.
now 32 and 34. They still don't know. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so when they asked me, if they ever asked me, did you do anything stupid? All I would say is, yes, I did stupid things, but those are things I'll keep to myself, and it has nothing to do with you, and it has nothing to do with today in this situation and how I think you should behave. For instance, and I'm going to do real. I'm going to try real hard not to share any of my stupid things here because my kids might hear this. So um, I'll throw out a for instance.
Mm-hmm.
When my daughter was little and she tried to steal something from the store. And the
Mm-hmm.
first thing I did is I turned around, I marched her back into the store. I said, "You will take it back and you will apologize." And she was probably only 5 or 6. She wasn't very old. So if I had done something similar to that, I would not share it with her. What I would say
Mm-hmm.
is, that is wrong and you don't do that and you could go to jail for that.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had done something, I don't know if, so it's like anytime I caught my kids doing anything, I understand you want to be honest with your kids, but you only be honest in sharing how you behavior. You don't have to dig up your whole past. And I
Mm-hmm.
never lied to my kids about my past. I simply said, yes, I did stupid things, but that has nothing to do with you and
Mm-hmm.
or this situation. So, and they've, maybe they're smart and not ever asking me what stupid things I did. I actually did share something with my son the other day though. And he said, "Mom,
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe it. I had this idea in my head that you had this amazing childhood and you grew up on a farm." And I did. I lived on a farm in Michigan, the state of Michigan. And then within that, we got off the farm. And I can't remember what I told him I did. It's probably better I don't remember. And anyway, he says, "Mom, man, you really blew my image of you. I thought you were just such a good kid. And you had this amazing idyllic life, ice skating on the pond and playing with the cows and riding the horses. And here I find out you did this." And I thought, oh man, I probably should have never told him that. So I think it was good that I never
Mm-hmm.
told him the stupid things I did. Because up until, I don't think he lost respect for me. He's 32 now and he's got his own family. So I don't think that hurt anything because all the way up until then, my kids had this image of me that I know right from wrong, and I had these values, and this is what I was teaching them. And that's really what it's all about. This situation, here and now, it's, yeah, I don't know. And I'll probably never do an autobiography either because, yeah, I did a lot of stupid things. And
Mm-hmm.
I lived, obviously, but it's nothing to be real proud of. And I don't want the
Mm-hmm.
kids to think I take pride in the stupid things I did. I don't ever want them to think that. It's embarrassing sometimes. And so there's your line. Honesty, you be honest in sharing those values. That's it. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And don't
Right.
get into your past. You're not their friend. And a lot of my friends don't know stuff either, and that's fine. I want them to stay my friends. So,
Mhm. Right. So, uh, now the thing is, I mean, when your kids were growing up, and when your kids were growing up, and were they given the opportunity to, like, just go live life, make mistakes, and learn from that their own mistakes, or like, how was it like when they were growing up? Because I think it is really important, it is essential to let kids learn from mistakes,
Hmm. Oh yeah. Oh
right?
heck. Yeah.
So yes,
So
yes.
my
So how is it like for your kids?
well, there was one situation where my son, he worked real hard to save money to buy his first scooter. Do you know what a razor scooter is? Those things that you stand on. Okay. He, I can't remember, sixth grade or something like that, seventh grade. He wanted a scooter. They were like $80. $80 for me was a week's worth of groceries. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, how about you save the money for half of it and I'll save the other? So that's what we did. He saved birthday money, Christmas money, gifts, whatever. He did chores around the house and he saved his $35 or $40 for this. And then I covered the rest. So he's all happy with the scooter. And then one night he came in from fiddly farting around in the neighborhood and he left it on the front porch. He didn't bring it in for the night because it was raining and he was just cold and he was in a hurry. He left it on the front porch. And the next morning he gets up and he's looking for a scooter. And I said, well, did you bring it in last night and put it in the garage? He goes, oh crap, it's on the front porch. He went out there, it was gone. It was stolen. And he was crushed. And I mean, he worked hard to get that thing. And I said, well, I don't know what to tell you, honey. He goes, Mom, you got to buy me a new one. I said, no, that was your mistake, not mine. You were the one who left it out there. You know that you were supposed to bring it in and put it in the garage so it wouldn't get stolen. He goes, well, I didn't think it would get stolen in this neighborhood because we lived in a little teeny tiny gated community of like 20 houses. So, and I said, I'm sorry, that was your mistake. And so he learned from that mistake and he wanted another one. I said, I'm sorry, that one's on you. So he ended up, oh my God, that kid, he did so many chores. He cleaned the whole house every day, just about. He took on his sister's chores. So he went out and he got another one. And then after that, it led to, I don't know, other mistakes. Riding your bicycle without a helmet. He got his first ambulance ride. That was fun. It's really sad too, as I'm saying all these things about my son. He was, I thought, oh my God, Jen. But my daughter, she learned from his mistakes because she didn't leave her bicycle out, and she knew that she was going to have to buy her own first car, and how hard it was going to be. She learned. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of all the stupid things that they did to. The bicycle was the biggest thing in the scooter, though, from what I can tell. So I do believe in letting them go and learn from their own mistakes. I was not one who had to follow my kids around. I didn't make their play dates. I let them make their own friends. Oh, I know my daughter, the dating. Oh my God. Some of the stupidest guys she brought home, I swear to God. And I would just look and think, really, are you sure, honey? She goes, yeah, Mom, I really, really like them. Okay. And so I let her figure out after a while that they just weren't well suited. And she'd come home and she goes, oh my God, Mom, you're such a jerk. And I said, yeah, I know. She goes, well, why didn't you tell me? I said, Jen, how would you learn to recognize it if I had told you? So figure it out. I believe in that. I do. You can't hover. You can't tell them who their friends can be. You can't tell them every stupid thing. They have to learn from their mistakes. I mean, my God, that's how we learn, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think one way or another you got to, because our lives are just very unique. We are all living a very unique life and we all experience different things throughout our
Yeah.
life. So I
Yeah.
think probably the advices, the experiences that, I mean, based on your very own experience, I think it can only be like sort of a guideline but not
Yeah.
really something that they would be able to fully, utilize in their own life, right? So, yeah, coming to your books, Janet, you tell us about the first book that you wrote.
Oh, the first one. Yeah, it's definitely the parenting one. You can't love your children too much. That phrase actually came from the time I brought my daughter home, my first baby from the hospital, and a friend, a coworker wanted to visit. And it's funny, I was just reading that in the book here too. And I thought, oh yeah, I wrote her name was Alice in the book. She has since passed away, and her name is Arlene, actually. So Arlene came over to visit when I brought Jennifer home. And it was going well until Jennifer had started crying. And she was, oh my gosh, she's crying, crying, crying. 10, 15 minutes. Arlene is going, oh my God, you have to do something. It's like, well, Arlene, your grandmother, tell me what to do. She had nothing. So I checked the diaper, I checked the bottle, I did all this, and she was fed and everything. So finally I just picked Jennifer up and I started rocking her. And Arlene looked at me and she goes, oh my God, you can't do that. I said, what do you mean I can't do that? She goes, you can't pick them up every time they cry. And I thought, are you
Mm-hmm.
serious? There's she needs me. She needs me to love her. And no, you can't love your children too much. You can't hug them too much. You can't spend too much time with them. And so that's where the title came from, is that situation with Arlene. And that's actually the introduction to the book too. So that whole story. It and then then I just started watching other people. And I don't know why that stuck in my mind, because I didn't write the book until, oh gosh, Jennifer was in junior high. So she was 10, 12 years later, 13 years later. I didn't even write the book till then, seeing all these misbehaving kids. Oh, and then, oh, yeah. And the reason I finally wrote it, not only the misbehaving kids, my boyfriend at the time, he has a daughter who was not married. She just graduated from college. She got her, I don't know what her, became a grade school teacher. And she saw how I was interacting with my kids, and she was giving me advice. And I thought, okay, you're 22, you're not married, you don't have children. So you're giving me advice on how to handle a situation with my daughter. That doesn't make sense to me. So I talked to my boyfriend, who is now my husband, by the way. I talked to Tom. And he goes, man, you were always complaining about, she's telling you this, that, and the other thing. And you're complaining about these parents and that. He said, you think you're so damn smart, you ought to just write a book. And I thought, fine, I will. So that's how I wrote the first book, You Can't Love Your Children Too Much. And that's how it all came together in the bits and pieces. It took me 5 years to get the first draft done. Oh my God.
That, that's pretty long.
Yeah.
That is really pretty long. Yeah.
It took a long time because
Um,
I was still raising the kids, and I only had time. I had my lunch breaks, I had my evenings, sort of, because I was doing homework with the kids and making dinner and that type of thing. And then the weekends was grocery shopping, chores with the kids. And with any luck, I could sit still for 5 minutes. And oh, I'll tell you what, computers weren't that big a deal then either, even though.
yeah.
So even though this was like in the late 90s, early 2000s, I had a home computer, but a lot of times I was writing paper and pencil napkins at Burger King and notes, all that. So yeah, it took me 5 years, and then I didn't know how to publish either. That was a pain in the butt. I didn't know how to make a book cover. I don't think I have the original one around here. It's pretty ugly. I don't have it around here. So yeah, that first one, that was a real labor of love. So,
Uh-huh. Right. Right. So, and the second book, Right. The second book is sort of like the second book that you wrote about parenting. It was a lot about sort of like a manual.
Oh, the more the manual, the business of life. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Is that the second book that you wrote?
It actually is. And
Okay.
yeah, the first one I published in 2006. I finally got it published. Took me a couple years to get through that process. And then, so 2006, so 2015 is when I published the second one. So there are quite a few years in between, mostly because I wasn't inspired yet. I had nothing to say. So that one it came about because my son's best friend moved in with us for a year and a half. And that book is actually dedicated to Victor as well as my kids. Victor was in a situation where his father was not in his life, hadn't been for a long time. So he had a single mom, but she had passed away when he was 13. And it was really sad. And he and my son met about that time, and they become very good friends. And he was around our house a lot. So what had happened was
Mm-hmm.
mom passed away as he moved in with his older brother. And over the years, I guess it went okay, but I imagine natural tensions and everything, family dynamics. His brother was married, family of his own, and everything. So, anyway, through a series of events, my son called me at work one day and he goes, Mom, Victor needs a ride home from work. And I thought, oh my God, what happened? So I went and I picked him up, got to talking to him, and he eventually moved in with us. And when he moved in with us, I started noticing all the questions he had for us. And he had a lot of questions as a kid coming over to the house too, but this was really intense because now he's like, oh gosh, what was he, 20 or something, 20, 21 years old. And the questions were insane. And I kept thinking to myself, didn't anybody tell you this? I thought this was common sense, and that's when I found out more about him and his personal life. So then my son's or my daughter's friends were coming over, and then they were all having these discussions, and I thought, you know what, I'm kind of getting tired of repeating myself. So I started making a list of all these things that they were asking me about. And when it really came to a head is when Victor got jury duty, and
Mm-hmm.
he didn't tell me about it until a couple of days beforehand. And he said, yeah, I got this thing. And he was cleaning up or something. He found it. So I got this thing and I kind of forgot about it. I said, oh my God, it's jury duty. You have like jury duty in 3 days. And he goes, well, what does that mean? And it's no big deal, right? It's a grown up thing. I don't have to do that. I said, Victor, if you ignore that notice and you don't show up for jury duty, they're going to send out a warrant for your arrest. And if they find you, probably at work, you're going to have your butt thrown in jail. So that was the turning point. We got his jury duty worked out. He showed up, and I started writing. I just started writing. I thought I had this whole list of things. I went through it. I had that first draft done in 4 weeks. 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So much faster than the first one. I was finally inspired here. And I got it all done. I started looking through it. I started editing. By then, I was working for another author, by the way. And I'll just toss his name out there real quick. A guy named Ken Blanchard. He wrote The 1 Minute Manager. It's business management. So I talked to Ken about it, and I said, look, I think I have this great idea. And he actually allowed me to work with some of the people there in the office to do some editing for me, some cleanup. They helped me with resources on this one. And I got this probably published from first day of writing to publishing probably in 6 months. This one was fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I do a lot with this. I've designed courseware for it. I'm trying to get into the high school here in my town. I do a radio show for it now too, which is kind of funny. That just started 4 weeks ago. So this one is good. And I dedicated it to Victor. I gave him a free copy. I met him at work, and he's doing so well now. I'm so proud of him too. It's almost like he's my extra son, you know. It yeah, that one's a good experience, and I have so much more that I keep adding to it. I'm probably going to do a second edition of that one. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sorry, I keep talking too much. I talk so much. I have so much to say about this.
But yeah, because you actually have a lot of books. I mean, coming up one after another. I think so. In total, how many books have you written, like altogether?
Let me see. I got that one, and then I did Letters from Boot Camp, and then I did I did one on manufactured homes too. That was really funny. That was a survival guide for me. And then I did Letters from Boot Camp. I'm working on 365. So I have 6 of them, although this
Mhm.
one, the You Can't Love Your Children Too Much one, this is actually the second edition. So I don't know if you count that as another book. So, but I think I have
Mhm.
5. No, 6. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I'll
Yeah,
when I
you
get
have like letters from boot camp,
Letters from Boot
letters from
Camp.
boot camp. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have like 2020 right side rants and raves.
Oh, I forgot about that one. I just published that one in January. Thank you. I forgot about that one. Oh, geez. Yeah, that was a funny one. I actually started writing that in November, December last year, and I got it out in January. That one's
Mhm.
funny. Oh, I'm starting another one too for next year because all this, oh, geez. Right side rants and raves, that has nothing to do with my kids. That's all current
Mm.
events.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And a little bit on, like you said, future homes of Bremerton
Yes.
and buying a manufactured home. So a little bit on that. Not, it doesn't have anything to do with parenting, I guess, but it's just. So I think your love for writing it just continued from there.
It
Like you
seems.
just wanted to, yes.
Yeah.
So now that your children are all grown up, they are in their 30s. So I'm 32, I believe.
Oh, you can call me
Yeah,
mom. The mean
yeah.
mom.
So I mean, which is why I think I can identify with your parenting style because we all grew up in the same era, and it's all the same. It's sort of like the same. I mean, it doesn't matter where you're from, but I think it's just the 70s, 80s kind of a thing, 90s as well, a little bit. Yeah. So now that they're all grown up, and how are they doing right now? And they have their own families, and
Hmm.
they are looking up to you for advices. So how do you provide them with advices, but at the same time also let them make decisions of their own, right? I mean, with their kids.
Well, they live a ways away, and I apologize for not updating my author page on Amazon. I live in Southern Nevada versus Washington, so it's only a
Hmm.
3 to 5 hour drive to go see them now versus 2 days.
Hmm.
So it's really nice. But to answer your question, I really don't give them any advice unless they ask. So
Hmm.
because same thing. I always felt like they needed to learn the same way everybody
Hmm.
else learns. And I don't live with them, so I don't know their situations. I don't know their environment per se. I have a good idea, but they're the
Hmm.
expert because they're there. Now, when my daughter had her first baby, her son, I don't know. She just took to it like a duck to water. Interesting thing about my kids is when they were growing up, they loved being around small children. They loved babies. Even when they were toddlers themselves, they were drawn to small children. Now, that's really weird, but something I never was. So
Hmm.
I don't know where they got it from, but I'm glad they did. So when Jennifer had her kids, some, I don't know, she just loved them, and kind of like I did, she just loves them so much, she just figures out, well, if they're crying, and she did, and I did tell her that if they're crying, I said, you check their diaper, make sure they're clean, you make sure that they've been fed and they're not hungry, make sure that, like, I don't know, they don't use diaper pins anymore, but make sure nothing's poking them or anything, and there's no reason they should be uncomfortable. They're not too hot, too cold. And after that, I said, Jen, all you can do is rock them, hold them, rock them, love them, let them know you're there, because maybe they just miss your touch, whatever it is. So that's really the only advice I ever gave. If they ask, I will tell them. Now, my son has asked occasionally, and he doesn't really ask. He just says, well, Mom, this is what's going on. What do you think? And that's kind of how he puts it. He doesn't say, what should I do? He just said, what do you think? Because right now his second baby, his son was born in January, and this one isn't sleeping as nicely as the first one, his daughter. So he's not getting any sleep at all, and neither is his wife. I feel so bad. Well, Mom, what do you think? I said, well, there's a couple things you can try. I said, but quite honestly, Alan, you nor Jennifer slept through the night until you were probably in kindergarten. So you were like 6 years old before I got a good night's sleep. And even then, there was a whole bunch of other issues that kept me up until you were 18. And then you joined the Marine Corps. And then I lost sleep for another 5 years. So I got nothing, Alan. I got nothing. Yeah, they have done really well on their own. They just do on their own. They very rarely ask, and they figure it out because they know their kids' personalities a lot better than I do. They're there all the time. And they do have a copy of the book, so they have read it. But that's when Alan said, oh, Mom, I don't have time to read like 3 paragraphs or 3 pages on discipline with a 2-year-old. He said, you just got to make it short and sweet. And that's why I'm working on the other one right now, the 365 must-have tips for busy parents. And they're just one-liners in different categories. So that's my big advice for my son, I guess. And yeah, Jennifer will probably pick it up too. So, because she has a 5-year-old. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. But and I think a little bit about your friends and your probably your family, extended family, or things like that. Have they actually read the book, and what do they think about you as a single mom raising your kids, and how has their opinions or views changed over time? I mean, those people who say that you probably wouldn't make a good mom or things like that, and versus now.
I really have no extended family in the area or close to us while my kids were growing up. But yeah, they would call. Like, it was mostly my mom who was giving me a hard time. And that was kind of a pain in the butt. So I just ignored it. And then some of my friends, yeah, and I shouldn't call them friends, I would call them acquaintances, and even actually an ex-husband or two who said things like that. But their opinions have come around, especially my mom, who have said, wow, your kids are great, you've raised a nice young man there, you've raised a nice young lady there. They're amazing. They don't give me kudos any more than that. And that's pretty much it. Many of them have not said anything at all, honestly. And that it doesn't bother me because they're stupid, mean, nasty comments to me. I pretty much just ignored them because I didn't have time or energy to feed into that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, my mom, sadly, my mom has dementia, but she still loves my kids. Now she goes, oh, you did such a fine job with those kids. Now she says it because she And she's forgotten everything else. She just meets them as people and she thinks they're great. So
Right. Right. So, what do you think about, you know, parents out there, or maybe even, when you say that when you say that when you see kids, when you see parents trying to raise their kids and trying to be their friends and things like that, um, do you actually try to offer your advices to them, or how does it work? Like, with your friends.
I've been known to say something if they have brought me into the conversation about that. And I'm really careful about it because I understand that no one likes to be criticized on their parenting. So I put it out there as a suggestion when they complain, oh, I can't believe my son did this, that, and the other thing. I took him to a bar and he did this, and he's like 18 barely. And I think, you may not want to do that because this is how he could perceive you. This is how the impression that you might be giving that you're his buddy and it's okay to act like this when really you don't think it is okay. So you're kind of sending the opposite message of what you're trying to do. But I'm really careful with how I say things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody wants to be criticized on how they're parenting. I mean, God knows I didn't, but I fought back and I wrote a book. So yeah. Oh, look, you have them all up there. The
Yes.
manufactured home and the future home. Future Homes is actually the name of a company, and I wrote that book specifically for them. And then I made the generic buying a manufactured home without a company name on it. But yeah, these are. Oh, see, there's the pink one. There's the first version. Horrible book cover. Oh, it's embarrassing. But
Yes.
first time you
So,
got to learn, right? I learned from my mistake. Hire a professional book cover designer, maybe. So
right. So here we are drawing towards the end of the show. What do you
okay.
have to say to people out there watching, and those who would like to check your books out? What do you have to say to people out there? I mean, especially on parenting and yeah.
Oh, regarding parenting, well, regarding anything, especially parenting, I know there are so many books out there that talk about parenting. I know a lot of people claim they're experts. That is not something I've ever said about myself. I'm not an expert on parenting. I'm simply a parent who them. So I hope that my experiences resonate with your experiences and that you can get something out of what I've learned from those similar experiences. If
Mm-hmm.
some of it works for you, that's wonderful. Kudos.
Mm-hmm.
But if some of it doesn't because it doesn't fit in with your situation, then just ignore it and look at
Mm-hmm.
somebody else's book because they might have other ways to handle that situation because maybe their kid sounds more like your kid or something to that effect. So anybody who tells you that they know everything or that they're expert or that they've got this master's degree in child development, it doesn't make them expert on your situation or your child. That is so unique. Every
Mm-hmm.
child is unique. Every parent is unique. Every household is unique. And that's the same for that Business of Life book. I'm not a child psychologist. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a lawyer. I've just raised these kids. I've worked for 40 years. I've been a landlord. I've been a hiring manager and a firing manager, which is horrible. Um, so I've got all these experiences, and that's generally all I'm trying to do is share my point of view, my experiences, and hope something resonates with you personally. And if not, go on to the next expert, go on to the next book, and
Mm-hmm.
get the help where
Mm-hmm.
you can get it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Exactly. Amazing, amazing, Janet. It was definitely my pleasure to have you today with us, talking about your experiences, and thank you for joining our show today. Thank you for accepting my invitation to come on the
oh,
show today, and
thank you.
I all
Great.
learned, one a little bit about your parenting journey. And so I hope that viewers out there also get to learn something about the old ways of raising kids. The 80s, 70s ways of raising kids. And so what I'll do is that I will actually, once the interview is over, I will actually share this on Instagram. I will put this up on YouTube as well,
Oh,
so it's
thank you.
gonna go on a lot of platform. And what I also do is to actually spread the long interview into few smaller sections, just to get just to repurpose the whole interview, into something that is more,
Great. Thank you.
um, you know. So that's what I do, and it's been a pleasure talking to you today. And thank you so much for coming on to the show. And hope you have a great week ahead, Janet. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me. So much fun. I just hope something that somebody heard, it helps and makes a difference in their world. So,
Exactly, exactly, Janet. That's the whole purpose of the interview anyway. I mean, I love doing this because I think authors have something to say,
yeah,
got something to share, and I always love to learn about what they think, not just the book, but about how the book actually came about and how they wrote the book, why they wrote the book. So it's always a pleasure to actually talk to people on why they wrote something, right? So that's why you're here today, and that's what we're talking about. So it's been a pleasure to talk to you, Janet. Thank you so much, and hopefully we will meet again, probably in some other episodes that's gonna like come in the future. So stay
maybe.
connected, stay in touch, and yeah, again, Janet, thank you so much. Have a great week.
All right. Thank you. You have a great evening too. Bye. Is this part where we wave to say goodbye?
Stay
All
safe
right.
anyway.
All righty. Bye bye. And you will shut that down then, right?
Yes, yes.